Hi guys.
Hey guys, we're back with Model Talk. Nicole Nance.
Devin Blackerby.
And we're here to talk about modeling stuff and make the industry a little more transparent.
Heck yeah.
This is our second episode.
Woo woo.
Yay. We're still trying to figure everything out. So we can't yet tell you when this episode will be posted.
No, we will figure that out soon.
But follow our Instagram at Model Talk Podcast for more information.
Yeah, we'll hopefully get more consistent as we go.
We will.
So today we are going to talk about, I think it's a very common question essentially every model gets is how'd you get started? Mm-hmm. And how did you get in it? What'd you do? How's it going? All that jazz. Yeah. So,
and everybody has different routes. So
heck yeah.
It is interesting to...
So I guess I can start. Okay. I came from I don't want to say a family of models, but a family of people who had some modeling experience. Mm-hmm. So my dad modeled in his 20s. He did a lot of there used to be menswear modeling where it was just suits. You only did suit stuff and for suit stores, tux stores. So my dad did that a lot when he was in his 20s. And my mom was approached to do modeling through the pageant circuit when she was in college. And she almost did it, but then they were really terrible and strict at that time about weight and stuff. And she couldn't hit the right marks for them. So they both have some slight experience in the field.
We should post pictures on our Instagram
of our parents.
Yeah.
I think I have, you know what? So I don't think, if people don't know this, the thing you hand over with all your measurements and your pictures is called a comp card. I have my dad's Z card because it used to be called a Z card, but I don't know where it is. I remember he gave it to me. And I'll dig through and try to find it. Because, cool. It's so funny to me. Because he's it's called a Z card. I'm no, it's called a comp card. It's a different thing. But so I got started, basically, my parents had told me, my whole life, when I was in daycare, I guess they got told a lot by, my teachers that I should do, kid modeling. And, so they considered it, but they didn't, they honestly didn't want me to grow up and be, a brat. So they were no, we're not going to do it. So they made me wait, and I kind of was always interested. And then around 12, this sounds really weird, but our neighbor was getting landscape done, and we always went over and talked to them. And the landscaper guy was oh yeah, I used to be a model. And we're okay, sure, yeah. But he actually was I looked him up, and he was huge. He did all this stuff for Nike, and now he just does landscaping because I think he fell out a little. Yeah. But so he was I have some old contacts at Mode Models, which is a big Canadian brand. And he was let me see if I can get it anything. And we were okay. And then he actually found Muse for me, and that's how I got connected to Muse down here, because Darren and Tiffany, who are the owners of Muse here, broke off of Mode Models and now started their own agency, and that's how Muse got started.
That's weird. You were discovered by an ex-model landscaper.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah, for show. Oh, your child wants out. Hold on. Nicole has the cutest cat named Nacho, and he's so adorable, but he can't decide if he wants to be in the room recording with us or not, so he keeps going in and out.
He's gone now.
But yeah, so he set up a meeting for us. We went to the casting for Muse, and I met Darren and Tiffany, and I remember I dressed up, I tried to look nice, and then they were yeah, we'd love to take you, but you're kind of young, so we're not sure what we're gonna have for you yet, but we'll totally train you. This is the age of I'm not sure what they do now, but I got a lot of hands-on training, which I think really helped me. So I like to say I started at 12. I officially got signed. I officially worked with them at 12. I didn't actually sign a full contract till 15. So I did 3 years of essentially training with Muse and doing a bunch of model workshops with them. I still got castings. I went to a bunch of castings. I remember specifically going to a bunch of Fred Meyer and Nike stuff because I was younger.
If you're listening outside of the Portland area, Nike's headquarters are here.
Yes.
And Fred Meyer
is owned by
here.
Kroger. Yeah. So it's a big brand.
And then Adidas is here. There's a lot of big brands
Under Armour, Columbia. Yeah. Almost all of the athletic people cast out of here. If not here, then it's LA, because there's more. There's some in LA too.
And then Lululemon is right up in Vancouver, BC.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
But so I did that. And then 15, I officially signed contract. I did my first photo shoot, which is, I still have those images. I can for sure post those. Yeah. And then at 16, we just talked about, was my first show. So then I've just been going from there. I am now 21. So I got signed like right around my birthday. So my model anniversary, I don't know the exact date, but I know it's in November. So when I turn 22 is usually when I'm like, oh yeah, I've done like 10 years now.
That's
so
exciting.
yeah, it's really cool. It's an interesting field, which we'll get into more, but like I like it. And I think as a young kid, I think for a while it took me a minute to like own that I was a model, because like I didn't tell anybody for the longest time. Like I was in middle school not telling people because I didn't want to get like teased.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to
like,
say.
It's a weird brag to almost pull out, but then you don't think of it as a brag, because like I think
what you do.
Yeah, I think you and I are on the same wavelength where it's like, no, it's my job. Like it's one of my jobs. Like I have a couple jobs at the moment, and it's like it's one of my jobs.
I always say professional model.
Yeah, like I go to work, and my work is completely different than yours, but I'm still working. Like I still come home and I'm tired. Like, and I need to shower because I've usually been covered in makeup. Like I'm like, it's a job, but it's just not like a 9-to-5 normal, like an office job. Sometimes you're in an office. Yeah. That's fun.
Sometimes you're modeling an office job.
Sometimes you're pretending to be someone in an office. Like I saw, do you know David Adui?
No.
Or Kojo? Okay, I saw him the other day in a Fred Meyer ad, which is really funny because he's also like a great guy, but he was literally like pretending to be like a bag boy and like putting someone's bags in their car, and I was like, that's so not him. But like it's so funny because he works at Intel and he's like so smart and he's like a great dad, and then it's him being like a Fred Meyer model. Like,
that's awesome.
Like, but yeah,
I think everyone kind of thinks, like, when you think of modeling, you think of like fashion models.
Yes, there are everyday people who model.
There are everyday, and even if you are like a fashion model, like, I think that I know my portfolio is definitely more fashion, but there's not a whole lot of money in fashion. Like,
there is and there isn't. It depends on the market you're in.
Depending on the market. Yeah. And so most models, at least starting out, like supplement with commercial work.
Yes.
And advertising work. Like, Mark Wahlberg started out that way.
Yeah.
And now obviously, maybe he still models. But anyways, continue.
That's kind of it for my beginning story. Like, my first photo shoot was up in Seattle.
Oh, cool.
Remember that, with Mark von Versten? I don't think I'm saying that right. I'm really sorry. But I still use those images now. They're like beautiful.
Yeah.
And he was so sweet, and he did all my hair and makeup.
Aww.
Too, and like he put a mirror in front of me so I could see how to pose, which was great, because like that's honestly the biggest barrier when you first start modeling, is like I feel like the two things are like your walk and posing on your own to where it looks like I know what I'm doing. Right. I'm not just like leaning against whatever object is there. Like, so
you look like natural.
Yeah. So what about you?
I don't know, I feel like your story was super prepared.
I remember everything. I have a very vivid memory, I feel like.
You've been around longer too, and so I feel like you've probably been asked a lot more. My story is not as traditional with getting into modeling. My mom modeled when she was younger. She was like a they might still do this, but malls would have like live mannequins in their window.
Yes, and that's cool.
Yeah, she used to do that. She's also really tall and like thin. But she didn't continue with it. And when I was growing up, I was in theater through and through. It was my entire life. I did dance, acting, and singing. And I've just always really loved acting. Always wanted to be a model. I didn't think it was realistic. I didn't think that it just happened to people, because the only way I knew to get into it was to like walk through a mall and hopefully get discovered or something.
Which still happens.
It does. Yeah. I mean, you could be discovered by a landscaper.
Yeah, just the good old ways.
So I was absolutely obsessed with it. And then America's Next Top Model came out. And damn, it like changed my life. I used to like make my friends do photo shoots with me, and we would hang like sheets up on the wall. I will definitely find those photos.
That's so funny. I love it.
Yeah, and I would like, make them all up and everything. And then the older I got, I was still absolutely obsessed with America's Next Top Model, but I was so comfortable in theater that I just didn't pursue it. And then pursued it a little bit when I started college, and then moved out here, and that's when I really hit the ground running with it. But training wise, like I owe everything I know and do to dance, acting, and Tyra Banks. Like America's Next Top Model taught me so much. If you can just like put the drama of it aside, like she talks about how to make a book and teaches you like
and what to do on a go-see, which is great,
and tips on modeling. Like one of the things she teaches, if you're like stuck for poses, like if you kind of have like a fashionable like stomach ache.
Yes.
Or like, oh my god, my head hurts, but you like make it fashion. Anyways, I'm not embarrassed by that at all.
That show is a good show. The problem I had with it is it started getting so like what you know what bugged me is like clearly it's a reality show, and clearly like you're gonna go on there and you're gonna get interviewed and you're maybe gonna say something like that girl's a bitch, you know. The problem is if you're trying to get signed later, you look like a bitch now because you've been on TV,
right?
And so it's like, how okay, like good luck now, like because people are gonna see you and be like, wow, you were a terrible person, even if maybe you were edited super weird or like that's not actually you, but now they see that like maybe you're like the shit starter, and it's like you don't want to be that, especially to an agency. You almost want to be like a sure thing, like she's gonna be fine, like, you know, like you don't want to be like the one that's potentially like you're gonna get calls back from the client being like, so Nicole said this, like
you don't want to be that person.
No, like you don't want to. So it's like I almost go on there and be like, you want to be the girl that's in the middle. Like if you get mad, you need to be mad for like such a valid reason, especially in the audience view. Like if some girl came up and like slapped you and you got mad, then you'd be like, well duh, you got slapped, like, but you can't be like, she took my shoes, like you can't be mad over.
You have to be like mature mad.
Yes, for sure.
But yeah,
mature mad. That's a great way to say that. Mature mad.
Mature mad.
Yeah. I agree.
So yeah, I moved out here, and my first job out here was at the Body Shop in the mall. Because I moved out here with no job, and so I landed in retail because it's what I knew really well. And the girls I met at the Body Shop, I'm still really good friends with most of them. In fact, I was in 2 of their weddings, but they knew a designer at the time who I'm not going to give the time of day and say her name, but I got in with that, and I did some runways and some print stuff through that. But when I really hit the ground running was I just kind of finally decided I wasn't going to wait for opportunities to come to me.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to Tom Lepton, the photographer, and I had this idea, and it wasn't meant to be fashion at all. And it kind of turned into fashionable art.
Yes.
And then we just kind of like ran with it. And
that's how I first saw you. Yeah. To be honest, Nicole and I don't think we've even known each other for a year.
I was thinking about it the other day. We met at the nomination party.
Yeah, we did.
Because we were talking with Jeff Wong.
Yes, that's how we met. So was that last year?
Yeah.
So it's almost been a year.
Almost.
Okay.
We're coming up on our year. We'll do a podcast.
Oh, so cute.
I also have to like say thank you to Jeff Wong because
God bless him.
One thing that he did that he let me walk for him, and he gave me some advice from a runway photographer perspective. He put a mirror in front of me, and
that's the best way.
Yeah, and he sent me every frame so that I could look and see what expressions I was lacking.
That's awesome.
It was great. I
did not get that.
Yeah,
I got walk classes, but like I didn't get that.
I got super lucky when I started. Like just super lucky to work with really good people, and then Tom Lepton, and then I just kind of went from there, and I worked really hard. Like I networked my ass off, and I love this industry. I love the people in the Portland industry.
Portland's very creative.
It is.
I think Seattle's pretty good too. I like to say, I don't know. I like to say I'm like a West Coast model because I've done a little bit in LA and I've done a little bit in Seattle and I've done stuff in Portland. So I like to be like, well, I've done West Coast. Yeah. Like I've done the West Coast, you know? Like that's kind of it. But
that's a good way to put it though, because there is a difference.
Also because like I feel like I've had experience at that point in both of those markets now. It's not like I'm just a Portland model. Like I've worked in LA. I understand the market. It's very commercial. Like and I've done some stuff there. I was with an agency for a little and then like some stuff happened and I wasn't with them anymore. But then in Seattle, I've done Seattle Fashion Week when I've done like a couple other things around there, so I understand that market pretty well. I've done casting up there to try to get with an agency up there, so like I feel like I understand both those worlds enough to where I could talk about them. You know, like it's not like I don't actively work in them, but I have a bunch of friends that work in them, and I attempted to be in them. So like I had to be like familiar with it, you know. So
I'm trying to get a little bit more into the Seattle market.
Yeah. It's hard when you're in Portland because it's just such a drive.
It is, yeah. You have to be pretty committed to being a part of it. Everything I've done with Seattle groups so far have been phenomenal. Like Fashion District Northwest is great, David Bailey, and
they send me emails all the time, and I need to go to more of their thingies.
Do.
I know. I feel like they send me, you know what it is? I love them for doing this because I don't think agencies really do it now. They do like the Model 101 classes, which is great, but it's like, I don't need it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't need it. Like,
but it's super cool that they offer it.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out for those.
I think they're great. If you honestly just get on their email list and they email you a crap ton.
They'll email you a ton. They'll email you castings that for their different shows.
They're very on top of it, for sure.
Very and most importantly, model safety.
Yes.
It's like you don't change in front of anybody really but your designer and other females. The men are completely separate.
That's like so important.
It's not a sheet. It is a wall that we were behind changing.
So important. Because that doesn't happen.
No. And they had a no cell phone rule in the changing area.
Good.
Right.
Oh my
you
God.
could bring it in. You just could not be taking photos.
That's actually like, I really appreciate that.
Yeah. I totally agree. It was awesome. And I mean, they feed you too. Like,
hey, that's
really
great.
Well.
Is it nice food?
It's nice food. So I just did Couture in Cars with them, which was, oh my God, just such an awesome runway. And they had like Olive Garden salad and like fruit and veggies and all of that. But then they also had like good substantial sandwiches, and it was good. And then cookies.
Nice. So like, for the average person, backstage, if we get fed food, which is a real if sometimes, like, so always bring your own food. Always. Models who are listening, always at least bring something, because you never know. Or they should feed you. There's no laws that say they have to, unfortunately, but they should feed you. But if they do, sometimes they don't feed you till like an hour before the show, so you're like starving the rest of the day. So bring food, always, and water. Do not drink backstage. Just don't be that person.
Right. Don't do it.
Because you'll also get kicked out most of the time if you drink backstage.
Not profesh.
No. But most of the time, if there is food backstage, it's like Costco wraps, which aren't bad. But every time, if you're getting that, you get tired of it. So usually like there's like a little like lunch meats and cheeses plate. There's like a veggie plate, and then there's like a wraps plate. So they give you food, and it's substantial. Like, you're getting a protein, you're getting a veggie. Like, they're not starving you, but it's like if that's all you get every show, you're like, I'm so done.
Because they are long days. Like, we were talking about earlier that like
it's an 8-hour day.
You're at a show, cool, like how fun, and it's super fun, but it is. They can be like 10 hours. Like, it so depends, and then sometimes you have to drive to them.
Well, like Fashion Next example, if you're in Portland, Fashion Next used to start, not as much now, but I remember it used to be 2 to 10. That's an 8-hour day. Like, because my call time would be 2, and then the show would be over around 10, and that's when I would get to leave or stay for the after party or whatever. Fade to Light is like, I think 3 to like 9, like 3 or 4 to 9 or 10. Like, it kind of depends, because the show usually starts at 8. It's like 2 hours, and so like it's at least a 6 to 8 hour day. So it's like a full. It'd be like a union. It's a union work day if we had a union. It's a union work day.
It goes like into the night, but always bring your food, because it happens to me when I don't, and they don't feed you until closer to the show. I'm already in my outfit, and I'm not allowed to eat. Shouldn't eat.
Okay. You're not allowed. No, I think you don't realize you're not allowed to eat. You just don't eat because you're professional.
Yeah,
I've seen many a woman go up there, especially with some of the new girls who are in a full costume, and they go and eat food, and I'm like, are you kidding? And I know that some of them are like, they genuinely like don't know. So I don't want to be like, hey, I'm more like, hey, don't do that, because literally you could ruin something. Like, it got me like kind of mad. I was at a show, and there was a student segment, and there were these girls that had gotten dressed, and then they went and sat and got food. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? This is their senior project. Like, they've worked a whole year on this. This is their graduating collection, and you're sitting in it and you're eating, and you just ruined it. Like, I mean, you didn't like damage it, but like,
you need to respect the clothing.
They've worked so hard. It's like a piece of art. And like, so that's why you stay standing. You don't stand in your shoes, because obviously you're going to kill your feet, especially if you're waiting too long. So you just hold your shoes, you stay standing. If you need anything, I'd say you can sometimes drink water. Just be careful, because obviously like you don't want to get
bring a straw, because lipstick.
Yeah, you don't want to get thirsty. So like drinking water, like usually most designers are cool with that. Or if you do, like do it over like a counter. Like, so, but like, no, like don't
It's part of the job to respect the clothing.
Sorry, this is your job.
Yeah.
Like, you should know.
And some designers will let you eat in the clothing. Like, they'll tell you to.
Always ask them.
Yes,
honestly, just always ask your designer.
Some of them don't want you to, like, this isn't food, but, like, not even wear, like, deodorant because they just don't want to know.
They don't want
clothing.
marks.
Yeah. So you have to respect it. I mean, I have definitely made mistakes. Like,
I think we all have. I have too. Like,
and my perspective is, like, if you can't afford what you're wearing, you better keep it return quality.
Heck yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, I actually made that mistake like a week ago at a dress rehearsal.
Did you eat in clothes?
No.
Did you rip clothes?
No.
Okay, good.
Because it was a performance. Okay. I was wearing a designer's dress, and part of the performance was like to get kind of like on the ground, and I did not think it through.
Oh.
I did not. Thankfully, this designer is like, I respect her. She's amazing. She came to me with it, and like, I totally was like, holy shit. Like, I was thinking, but clearly not enough. And when you get really comfortable with a designer, you have to still...
It's weird to not have like a weird friend repertoire with them, because it's clearly like they... not own you, but they clearly like kind of own you in a way. You're working for them, but then it's like you think of them as a friend, but then it's like, well, clearly this is like their stuff too. Right. Like, you don't want to ruin their stuff.
Not at all.
Like,
ultimately, like, I love the dress, and like, I just, to make it right, like, I offered to buy it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that was my fault. Nobody made me. Like,
No.
But you have to be careful, and then sometimes accidents do happen.
Well, for sure.
Like, one time I was shooting outside, and I was in a dubard. And I fell, and I did not realize how bad I messed up the back of my arm, because it didn't hurt, but I got blood on the dress.
Oh, you can get that out, though.
And it came out.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Lucy's the designer behind Dubard, and she's amazing, and she's a really good friend of mine. And so, I mean, she was completely understanding. Oh, but that's not a good feeling.
Oh, I've had a dress ripped off of me, and like, it was on purpose because the zipper got stuck. It was for Andreas Pineo.
Oh my God.
I love him. Beautiful. But like, he zipped me in, and then the zipper got stuck. And so literally he was just like, oh, I'm going to have to like rip it off of you. And I was like, okay.
As long as you don't
I was like, okay. And he's like, no, I'm not blaming you. But I was like, okay. It's literally the worst feeling in the world to have a dress, because it didn't not fit. Mm-hmm. The zipper just broke.
Yeah.
So he literally just ripped it off of me. And even though he's like the sweetest boy, and like, I didn't really care, it's the weirdest feeling to like have everyone look because they hear a rip and they see him going whoop and like ripping a dress off of a model. And I'm just like, and he's like, and then like 20 minutes later, he's like, fixed it. I'm like, okay, cool. Good stuff.
Designers are amazingly resourceful.
Yeah. So, I don't yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right.
Yeah, for sure. And we originally started talking about how we got started.
Yeah.
And
we're going to tangent off.
Now you guys know how to treat clothing properly.
No, we'll get into that more.
We'll talk about that more.
Do we have any obsessions?
Oh, yeah.
We can take a second to think about it. I think mine, I'll shout out here. Let me pull up my little podcasts, and I'll shout out more podcasts. Because, like, I am obsessed.
Last time I called out Fashion Hags.
Yeah.
Which is a great one.
Let me look. Go to my subscribed. Oh, okay. Last podcast on the left. Love them. It's 3 dudes talking about usually like true crime or like spooky things, like mysterious things. Like sometimes they'll talk about cults. Sometimes they'll talk about alien stuff. But I just think they're really funny. And like they all kind of come from like slightly different backgrounds, but then like together they're all like really good buddies, and like it's really funny. And then also, I know do you remember Vine? Were you ever into Vine?
I was never into it, but I know about it.
I was a Vine child because that's when I was like in high school, so it was like huge, and like Viners were a huge deal. And like, so there's these 2 Viners who ended up both starting YouTube channels when that platform died, Cody Ko and Noel Miller, and they have a podcast called Tiny Meat Gang, but they're just so funny, and I love them.
I feel like I've heard of that.
I love them both. They're hilarious. They're both, it's so funny. They do a lot of music. They just came out with a song called like Short King Anthem, and I'm just like, I would date you both, even though you're both little tiny boys. Yeah,
the
like
Tiny Meat Gang.
Yeah, because I think they're both 5'8", which to me is like, I consider you tall if you're 5'9" and up, because that's above average.
For a guy?
For a guy.
For me, it's like 6 foot or up.
Maybe 5'10" and up.
Yeah.
Well, because the shortest random tangent, but what's the shortest person you've ever tried?
5'6".
Same.
And we sat down a lot. I can't do shorter. But I am only 5'10", so it's not as difficult for me to find people taller. Yeah. It is still oddly hard.
It's hard. No, the shortest I've attempted to date is 5'6", and I adore him. But it was more just like, it wasn't even the height thing. It's more just like we just had different like aspects of what we wanted when dating. But I will say, like, my very first boyfriend was 5'10", and I'm 6 feet. Mm-hmm. So there was still a height gap, and he didn't really care, and I didn't really care. But I remember there was... I will still throw him under the bus for this, and he knows it. I was wearing literally maybe an inch and a half heel. So not even tall. And he got on his tiptoes to kiss me, and I was like, no. And I literally stopped him. I was like, don't you ever do that again. Like,
that's so funny.
Because it's like, I had never even noticed, and I don't think he ever did that before, but he did it that one time. He was like, well, you're wearing heels. I'm like, these are not even that tall. Really like, you know what kind of heels I wear. I wear, like, sometimes, like, a 4-inch heel. That is nothing compared to what this, like, how dare you?
Oh, like, that's so funny. Yeah, and, like, I've kind of gotten over it over the years. My husband is 6 foot, although I like to say he's 6'1". So when I am in
Give
heels,
it to him.
Yeah, he's 6'1". I think that's what his driver's license says.
Good. Okay, it's official.
It is. And he doesn't really care when I'm taller than him, because in heels, I just, like, automatically am. And I actually love it in fashion settings.
Yes.
Because... I think he likes it because he's like, oh yeah, she's a supermodel. Of course she's tall. I'm not calling myself a supermodel. That is what my husband
honestly think that's
says.
I think that's my boyfriend's same opinion.
Yeah.
Because I wore heels to meet his family, and I was taller than him, and they were all like, oh my god, we love it.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, yeah.
And so I've just started embracing it. It is weirder still, like, in everyday situations.
Yes.
But, like, also... What am I going to do?
I'm used to it at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, screw it. Sorry, I'm tall.
It's fine.
Like, I had a guy... This happened to me the other day. I was wearing these shoes that are killer, and I was walking out of Winco, and this old African man who had, like, long gray dreads was walking out behind me, and he yelled at me as I was getting in my car, and he was like, those are some cold-blooded shoes. And I was like, ooh, yes.
Cold-blooded.
I was like, thank you, yes.
I'm going to start using that to describe stuff.
Right? And I was like, heck yeah.
These are cool shoes. I'm going to wear them to Winco all the time.
Well, I was going to Winco after I had, like, a work thing, so I was, like, really dressed up still, and I'm walking into Winco, and I'm like, whatever. Like,
oh, let's super quick. I mean, we could probably do an entire episode on this, but going out in shoot makeup.
Oh my god, it terrifies people.
It is hilarious.
I think the worst one is I don't know if you've seen it because it's a little older now. I did, like, basically a goth shoot where it was really, like, dark beauty noir, and the makeup was really intense, but on camera it looked sick. But I walked out in public just to walk to my car. Like, I literally wasn't going anywhere afterwards, but it was when Tom Bomey still had the Next Studios. So I was walking out of there to go to my car, and I passed this couple, and they both look at me like I'm about to kill them, and I'm like, I swear I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a lot of times, like, on shoots that are more like collaborations, like Trade for Photo, that are just kind of fun.
You do weird makeup.
You do really weird makeup. And everybody always wants to go, like, get a drink after, which I'm down for. And at this point, I don't really care about the makeup, but I always forget I have it on.
Yeah.
And so I'll, like, walk through the restaurant, go up to the bar or whatever, and get all these weird looks, and I am like, what are they looking at? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I have, like, pop art makeup on my face.
I think another, yeah, for sure. Another time that happened is, again, like, oh, you know what it was? It was after the Portland Fashion Style Awards award show, because my store went, because we got nominated. So we went, and I did, like, real extra. Like, I had some really crazy cool makeup on. It wasn't too crazy, but, like, if you looked at me up close, you'd be like, it's a lot going on. So, like, I went out to a restaurant when I literally was driving home, and I wanted to just go get food. So I went to a restaurant, and I walked in my full outfit. I took off the cape because, like, that's a lot. So I just put on, like, a jacket over my cape, and I had a full, like bridal jumpsuit on and heels, and I walked in, and I was like, yeah, can I order to go? And he took a beat to respond. He looked at me, and I was like, oh yeah, I know there's a lot going on right now. And he was like, oh, Yeah, and then he handed me a
I'm
menu. And I was like, okay, cool.
I'm aware.
But like I think it startled that poor host because it was because that restaurant like closed at like 11 and I got there at like 10, so there was like not that many people there, so like I think he was just not expecting that at the end of his like Saturday. And I'm like, hello.
Yeah, it's weird, like as a model you both have to get used to wearing zero makeup and going out,
and then all of the makeup. Yeah, literally like cake makeup.
Yeah. I used to love doing my makeup and I still absolutely love doing it, but I don't do it as much because man, I always have makeup on.
I do it for a work setting.
Yeah,
like when I'm on a day off, I don't.
Like I work from home. So.
Good for you. You know what? What's that like?
This is
it's great.
I'm in like a jumper, which could potentially be PJs, but I did not buy it in the pajama section. So
I was gonna ask you if you like slept in that because I was like, is it comfortable?
It's really comfortable.
I feel like it's good for wandering out in the world.
So I bought it for Couture and Cars backstage because one of my dresses, like my legs were showing, and I never know what to wear so I don't get marks on my legs.
I just wear jeans.
I get super deep marks.
I do too, but I've given up. Like I used to do leggings, and that still leaves a line.
Yeah, it does.
And I don't want to bare leg it because usually it's so cold backstage. So I'm like, I just wear jeans, or sometimes I wear a dress. There are a few moments where I'll wear a dress backstage because it's honestly just easy to get in and out of.
That was the jumper mentality.
Yeah, I don't think people realize you honestly wear clothing backstage that you're like, can I easily like throw this off and throw it back on? Yes, like the quickest way to be naked.
Yeah,
go like
one thing.
Yeah. So
so it doesn't leave marks. And
all right, well that was
super comfortable, and I can never find jumpers that fit. Target, it was on sale for like $8.
Welcome to being tall and finding a jumpsuit.
Yeah,
the like crotch city is a nightmare. Like yeah. All right, well that was a sufficiently long tangent.
It was.
Okay, well
I mean we can really only talk about how we got started for so long.
Yeah, but thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.
And this is only our second episode, so again, we're like new.
So like follow, subscribe, share.
Do all the things. We have an Instagram. It's called @Model Podcast.
Leave us some love and follow us because it's brand new. And yeah, we don't know. Yeah, cool. All right.
Bye-bye. Bye.